Hey, fight fans, welcome back to Carl Prusa MMA. Today with a returning guest to the show. He is the Maniac. He is Mr. Marcus McGhee. He's getting ready for a huge fight going down July 26th, taking on Petr Yan. He is the Maniac. He is Mr. Marcus McGhee. Marcus, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
Man, I'm doing great, man. As always, blessed.
Absolutely, man. So, obviously big fight coming up, Petr Yan. You've been on an absolute tear in the UFC so far, picking up a lot of different performance of the night bonuses, coming off of a big win over Jonathan Martinez. When they called you and pitched you the idea of Petr, were you surprised at all?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's what I've been telling everybody. I was surprised. I mean, you got to be surprised about a matchup like that, Like, I was looking to move up the rankings, but, to move all the way up to number 3, number 2, that's already kind of crazy. That's a crazy feat, So it definitely wasn't what the plan was, but it's the plan now.
Absolutely. Last time out in action, fought on a big pay-per-view card, UFC 309, Jones and Stipe in New York, Madison Square Garden. We're able to take out a very tough guy, Jonathan Martinez, and look very, very good doing it. Looking back at it now, removed a bunch of months away. What are your thoughts on the performance?
I honestly, I had a lot of critiques for the performance on myself. It wasn't my favorite performance, but again, someone talked to me and was like, "Hey, man, but you can't take away who it was. It was Jonathan Martinez, and I think he's underrated to say the least. 6-fight win streak in the UFC is a very hard task, and the way he's defeated guys and the guys that he's beat a lot of legends. So that plays a big part in it, and I think that's where that test came from, So it was a beautiful fight still. It was good to learn more about myself and to realize, like, I'm as tough as I think I am, and I can be in there even hurt and still be dangerous.
You're a guy that's made a name for yourself on always going for the finish, man. You like to fight forward. You like to fight aggressive. You like to take your guys out. Unfortunately, you weren't able to do that. Still nothing taking away from performance. You're dominated. But was it kind of mixed feelings about not being able to pick up that finish?
Yeah, there's mixed feelings, It's always mixed feelings too, because you're like, oh man, maybe in this moment, maybe in that moment, maybe this, that, and third. Maybe I got my leg kicked again and I didn't even win the fight though. You know what I'm saying? So there's always those little things for sure. I want to finish guys. Like it doesn't matter at what level. Everyone always says at this level it's so hard to finish guys, and I can see why. Everybody's so tough. Everybody's well fit for the weight class, and everybody's got chins. So it's very hard to finish these guys at this level, and I'm just learning that. But that doesn't change anything. We're gonna keep on trying to get those finishes, and if they come, they come, and if they don't, they don't. We're not gonna hold on to it, but we would still like to be finishing guys for sure.
Your journey is absolutely amazing. I mean, you overcome so many different obstacles in your life, man. You made it to the UFC. You're showing up. You're showing out every single fight. Now you find yourself where you are one of the elite 135ers. You have a ranking beside your name. You're in the top 15. You're obviously getting a huge fight. But what is that feeling like knowing, maybe you haven't fully completed the dream yet. Maybe you haven't fully completed the goals yet, but knowing you are on the road to do so now?
No, it's beautiful. It's beautiful because, the dream is to be able to put the work in, right? And so the dream is being manifested every day. It's not necessarily the end goal. I'm not looking at the belt as the end goal or 20-0 is the end, 20-1 is the end goal, or after I get these wins, it's like with every day that I'm blessed to be able to work and do the things that I love to do and give back to the community that I'm a part of, man, it's a beautiful thing, So I love every moment of it.
You started off your amateur career dropping your first two contests. Is it kind of crazy from where maybe we started to see? Would have you ever believed if someone told you at one time you'd be here?
No, no, it's not that I doubted myself as far as like my ability, but I understand the game. I've been around long enough to see guys who are better than me, have done more than me, who came from better backgrounds, who have better support systems, but everything set up the right way, still not make it and do the things that I've done. So like there was never a moment in my life where I was like, oh no, I'm gonna do it because I'm gonna be the guy to do it. But it was just like one foot after the other, one foot after the next one, and keep moving forward. And for me, it's worked out that way. Just putting a foot ahead of another foot, whatever I can't do, I will do. So that's what I've done.
So I think a big part of fighting is obviously the mental game. You're a guy that's very positive. When you watch you fight, you're very calm. You're very composed in there. For you, how important is the mental side of fighting?
Yeah, I think it's super important for everybody, 90% mental, 10% physical. I think that's in like every sport, like we do have to exert that type of physical prowess, But all of that comes from mentally being prepared, preparing your mental to know what you're capable of, and knowing that you can pass through those thresholds, feeling that 320 your practices, feeling that 320 these fights. So I think it's super important to be present and to be grateful in the moment. Like we choose to do this, we choose to be there. So embrace that.
How much fun are you having right now?
Oh man, I'm having tons of fun. I get to train with the best guys in the world every day. I get to have great strength. I'm in the best shape of my life. My family is healthy. My wife is amazing. Like I get to skateboard whenever I choose, except for now that I'm, in camp. It's like, man, so many blessings, man, so many blessings. It's so easy to get caught up in the things that you don't have because there's so many things I still don't have. But man, when I take a step back and look at all the things that I do have, I'm like, man, I'm grateful.
So you train over the MMA lab with a bunch of killers. One of the guys you train with, Mr. Mario Bautista, a guy who's on an absolute roll right now, coming off of a huge win over Patchy Mix. Surprised a lot of people, I think, with that one. What's it like to be able to train with him and the other killers at that place?
Yeah, fantastic, man. I mean, these have been my brothers long before I got into the UFC, long before I went pro. I've watched them achieve amazing things. I've watched them go through life and work hard and, get through all their opposition. So it's amazing. And to watch a guy like Mario go out there and do what he did, it was fantastic. Because I told the fans, a bunch of people were hating on me, like, why are you supporting him? Bro, you guys forgot. You guys forgot. Go look at his other 7 fights, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, this guy's a killer, and he's showed up every time, and he showed up and kept his respect. A lot of people give their respect away. They give their morals away. They give a lot of things away. No offense, everyone's got to do their own thing. But to watch a guy like him stick to who he is in the face of all the hate, in the face of all the threats, in the face of everything, and to go have a performance against a guy like Patchy Mix, man, my heart exploded for him, man. But it's amazing to train with Kyler Phillips as well.
Obviously, we were just talking about Mario Bautista, Kyler Phillips, some great combat guys in your same division. Does the thought go through your head that, maybe one day their spots might align with yours and we're looking at a potential contest?
It's possible, but the only way that works for us, period. Honestly, I'm not trying to jump my guys. I'm not trying to beat them, and I hope that they're not trying to do the same for me. So unless it's for a title, unless we're fighting for the title and we're talking about, flourishing and supporting our families for the rest of our life, something like that, then we're not even talking about it. You know what I'm saying? Because we are training partners right now. And I think there's plenty of other fights around for us to be able to take those fights. So it's something that we've all talked about for sure. And none of us want to fight each other. Obviously, that's not the plan. But it's something that we'd be able to handle if it was a title implication. And if we were talking about building a foundation for our families for the rest forever, like I'm cool with that. If my boys, if we're building foundations for life, man, me and my boys are gonna do it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Big contest a couple of weeks ago. Sean O'Malley, Marab. Marab was able to defend that belt again. What did you make of it? What did you make of the contest?
I thought it was beautiful. I think Sugar made a lot of great adjustments. But Marab definitely showed that he is a champion inside and outside of the cage. I said it. That's one of my favorite things about Marab is like he's a real human. You know what I'm saying? You could see his sword sheathed out in public. And he does like do a bunch of other like crazy things that maybe I wouldn't do. But that still says a lot. He's like, he's very faithful. He's faithful to his team. He's faithful to his craft. He's faithful to God. He gives it all back to God. Like, man, you can't hate a guy like that too. And he's a machine. For him to go out there and have a performance like that, and then to go find a finish when he doesn't usually get finishes. I mean, he's a great champion.
One of the benefits of being a fighter, being in the UFC, is you develop this platform, right? You have this following on social media. For you, how important is it to have a platform? What are some of the messages that you want your followers to know?
First message is Christ is King and He's coming back. Get into the book. Build a relationship with Christ. Build a relationship with God. Know who He is. Feel His love, because without His love, you don't really know love. You know what I'm saying? He is the definition of love. So I really want people to realize, like, it's not you being a great person or you doing everything right or you doing all these things and that get you to God. It's you submitting and giving Him all the glory. So that's my first and foremost thing. It's something that's very important to me that I want people to, and I want people to know that you can do that, and you can be faithful to God and trust Him and be looking to fulfill His plan and still chase all these other dreams and aspirations. The parameters that He gives is not the parameters that we set on things is not His parameters. So that's one of the biggest things I really want to utilize for my platform. I think I could see God moving inside of the UFC and in so many different sports, and I love to be another vessel that He uses. So that's one of my main things. And then also just to like, it doesn't matter where you come from, what you come from. Don't give up on yourself. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be in this position. I think that adds to why I haven't really popped. People don't really, they're like, what is this guy doing here? Some people say retired old professional skateboarder. Some people say this old guy who looks like he's 20, who has a face of 50 and 20. It looks like he's 29. Some people say Gorgonite. Some people, all these different things. But it's like, regardless of all those things, I wake up every single day and and take the time that God gives me to perfect this craft and be in a place where I shouldn't even be. You know what I'm saying? That I shouldn't even be here. And I'm a man that I thought I could never be. So it's amazing.
Now you're at a point where a lot of guys, fighters, kids, people are reaching out to you on Instagram, reaching out to you on Facebook, being like, hey, I look up to you. I want to get to the UFC. You inspired me to overcome my demons. What's it like to be able to get those messages and know that you're making a difference in life?
Fantastic. That's more important than the wins and the losses and all that extra stuff and all the clout and all the fame. It's more important than those things. Obviously, I want to make a good buck to support my family and have amazing events and do things with them. But at the end of the day, making an impact, like you said, is way more important than anything that I can get out of all this. Being able to look back and be like, hey, multiple people made different decisions in their life, and not even just because of me, but because they were inspired and seen that it's possible that all these things can happen, and it's worth it to give it a shot. It's worth it to bet on yourself, and to go out there and do it. It doesn't mean you have to give up every other thing, because everyone's like, oh, you have to give up every other thing. I didn't give up nothing. I didn't give up nothing. I didn't give up my family. I didn't give up my skateboard, and I didn't give up anything. I just kept working and kept working and kept working. And I feel like there's other fighters that could say the same thing. It wasn't that we had to give everything up. It's not that you have to, but you have to be dedicated to this thing as well. Dedicated to all these things.
Absolutely. You mentioned skateboarding a couple times. Some other guys skateboard in the UFC. One of them is Peyton Talbot. Do you think you would out skateboard him?
Yeah, I think I out skateboard Peyton Talbot for sure. Don't get me wrong, he's good, dude. I seen he was cruising in a bowl, hit some 50-50s, 5-0s, front side slashes. Like, yeah, it's dope to see these other guys doing it. Really cool to see other guys do it. I didn't even know Luke Rockhold was a skateboarder. I had no clue. You know what I'm saying? Who else? I think the person who gives me the biggest run for my money is the Tarantula. Jalen Turner. I think he gives me the biggest run for my money. But only flat ground, only if it's flat ground. But if we add anything else into it, I think that's a competition I win as well. But he's got some pretty good flat ground tricks. I wonder how consistent he is. But if he's pretty consistent at a couple of them, like that switch tray flip, if he can get that off, before I get a bunch of my stuff off, maybe he gets me.
When it comes to skateboarding, when you're in the middle of a training camp getting close to a fight, do you tone it down a little bit with that?
Yeah, I don't skateboard at all, man. I put the board away. So I put it away 9 weeks, or I put it away 4 weeks ago. I had this pro skater named Norman Woods come down. He's a legend. He's 40 years old, killing it, jumping on 5-foot ledges. He's a beast, but he's a pro. He came down. He did a little session with me throughout the weekend. So we trained and skated on Friday, trained and skated on Saturday, and then skated on Sunday as well. It was a good like hoorah to finish up my skateboard and then put it away, because I definitely want to give everything I can to the moment, and then I trust that my skills will be there with the skateboard later on.
So you're getting ready, going to Abu Dhabi, taking on Petr Yan, July 26th. Overall, what do you think of Petr as an opponent?
Man, how can you take anything away from him? Great opponent, fantastic fighter, fantastic human, fantastic father, so definitely looking forward to the matchup. He has a lot of great tools. I would say he's one of the most complete fighters. He's good everywhere. So I'm gonna have to be good everywhere as well, and then bring that to him. So definitely super excited for the matchup. I think it's fireworks too. We're both high paced fighters. We're both willing to be in there and trade. So I'm looking forward to it, and I think the fans are looking forward to it.
I almost couldn't believe it when I first saw this contest. And for the fact that he comes forward, you come forward. You're both very well-rounded mixed martial artists, but you guys both love to strike. You guys both love to bang. To me, this is fight of the night written all over it, in my opinion. This is definitely one of my contenders on that card. For you, could you see this becoming a dogfight?
Absolutely. I'm planning for war, Absolutely. That's what he brings. He brings war. So I'm coming for war. You know what I'm saying? I understand who Petr Yan is and what he brings. And And yeah, I'm coming to give that back to him as well. So I could absolutely see it be. And honestly, I haven't been in a whole lot of wars, so this could be my first real war. You know, that's the plan, to be ready for a war. But obviously, the plan is always to go in there and get a finish. You know, I'm gonna be looking for the finish at any given time, and I'm sure he is too. You know, because whether or not he's gotten finishes on these guys, he's a finisher as well. He's very well. He finds finishes very well. He's very crafty. He sets things up very well. So I do think that we're both going to be looking for those finishes, which is going to make it fight of the night.
Do you thrive in these type of moments, the high pressure situations, the fights where, it's going to be back and forth. It's going to be a lot of pressure from both sides. Does that make you thrive?
Yeah, it excites me. You know, I'm alive. It lets me know I'm alive. You know, it's a challenge. Most people don't want to challenge themselves. You know, most people don't want to find out. It can be heartbreaking to find out. I'm cool with finding out. You know what I'm saying? That's what we got into this, what we did this, what we took this jump for, was to find out. You know, I think I can be one of the best fighters in the world. And I get a chance to prove it on July 6th, 26th against a former champion. You know, who could be mad at that?
With the win over Piotr, is a title shot in the very near future?
Maybe, God's plan. Honestly, just like I didn't think I was going to get Peter right away, I wouldn't necessarily be upset or surprised if it wasn't a title shot, even if I beat Peter. I think the way that I beat Peter matters a lot too, right? I think that's going to play a big part in whether or not I get that shot. I go out there and I starch Peter in the first round, do something amazing, right? Then they might try to push for something like that. But other than that, I really think that I think there's a lot of other guys that are in line for it. And I'm not in a rush. Everyone thinks I'm in a rush. I am in no rush. It just so happens that my career is happening and playing out how it's playing out. But I am on God's time. I trust his timing. I trust his timing for this fight and what the next fight will bring for sure.
Absolutely. You're on such a great card here. You get to go out of the country, get to go to Abu Dhabi. Robert Whitaker's on here, Renier de Ritter, Yves Loev, Aaron Pico. You got Shara on here. All these great fighters, Amanda Ribas. What's it like just to be able to be on such a stacked card and get to, do your international fight for this one?
Yeah, it's surreal. It's surreal. It's a cool feeling, and it's a good feeling. And I feel like I take it as it is, like, yes, it's great and it's amazing, but this is what we're doing. It makes sense that this is where we're at. It makes sense that we're on a card like this. It makes sense, So even though it is like amazing, same thing with like New York, it was amazing, it was cool, but like everyone, I'm like, man, it was just real cool, because it is cool, like this is not that we couldn't not be here, but we are here, and I'm just gonna take it in as it is. I'm grateful, and it's cool, and I'm excited to be able to showcase my skill set internationally and at the highest level.
For you, this current stage of your career, what's the ultimate goal?
The ultimate goal, that's a great man. I don't know if I'm focused on an ultimate goal. I want to build a platform that is bigger than fighting, that's going to be bigger than money, bigger than chains and cars and yachts. I want to build something that's going to give back, that's going to build generations, that's going to break generational curses. So for me, it's focusing on finding a way to create those type of avenues through what I'm doing to, really give back and really create real change that's not seen in the tabloids. That's not seen in all these big arenas and big places where it's fame and fortune and all that, but it's real.
What I think is so amazing about mixed martial arts is it provides guys with structure. Multiple times I've been told by people, this changed my life. This saved me. This turned me into the person I am today. Another guy who's got an amazing story is Terrence McKinney. He overcame so many things, doing such big things. One thing that he told me is one of the big things he wanted to do is to start building community centers to really make an impact. Have you thought of potentially, at some point teaming up with other fighters to do something collectively?
Absolutely. And I pray that everything lines up, and I know their finances just like mine, and I think that a lot of us like Terrence McKinney, we're still working our way to get into those financial areas where we're okay enough to be able to do that, So I think that it's going to take multiple of us doing that, getting to that position, and then being passionate enough. Because I love Terrence. I love what he's doing. I love his story, man. He's one of the most amazing guys. I love how he's giving it to God, And again, just talking about a guy who's not perfect, a guy who came to the altar dirty, you know what I'm saying? Who goes to the altar dirty every time. I'm still dirty, and gives glory where glory deserves, And it's just working on himself, working on his family, and then just giving everything he can. So I would absolutely love to do that with these fighters in the future. So it's definitely in the plans.
For you, how do you think mixed martial arts has changed you as a person?
Everything, it reformed my thought process. It let me know what real strength was too, because I had a perception that came from like street things, that was like, oh, this is hard, or this is when you're a strong person, or this is how you exude masculinity. And it showed me true masculinity. I watched some of the greatest fighters in the world be the most humble, humility in a huge way. I watched them be great fathers to daughters and sons, build up them. I watched them be great husbands. And it's just so many of those different things that I didn't realize were so important. All the things you do when the eyes aren't on you, when people aren't talking about you, that's what changed my life, is to realize like, oh man, there are really people out here that are real, that are really being real people. And really, and they're the hardest guys. Ben Henderson's one of those guys, man, he's the hardest guy still, at 41 years old, coming in and beating guys up, doing 16 rounds back to back, like just going crazy out there, and then going and hugging and holding his 4 children and being a loving husband. Man, that's hard. That's real hard. People always act like this other stuff is hard. That is hard.
Absolutely. So many people are watching the sport in this day and age, which is great. I mean, it's one of the reasons why we're seeing shows almost every single weekend. The fan base is as big as it's ever been. Fighters are getting paid more now, collectively than they did 20, 30 years ago. And I think for the most part, the casual fan, they understand what a fighter does, right? They understand you guys train, try to get title fights, try to win the next fight, to get more fights, yada, yada, yada. But I think very few people see the fight outside of the fight. It's that fight to grind in every single day, to not have to clock in at 9 o'clock in the morning, clock out at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's that fight for financial freedom. It's that fight to live life on your own terms, establish a platform, and be able to share your view of the world, your messages, and inspire others. For you, how big is all this to your journey?
Very big. I think that's what, I keep saying it, God didn't give me this platform for me to be this famous, amazing fighter. I really truly believe that he gave me this platform for what's next, and he says to me regularly, hey, be present because you love this and you're enjoying yourself. And I love that for you. But this is not the end goal. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot more hard stuff in front of you that's different hard, But I can trust that you'll be a faithful servant and be ready for that, because I'm putting you through the trials that will sharpen you for that. So, man, so big, so much, and this is what this platform has created for me.
You mentioned a little earlier, you think you're a type of guy that really hasn't truly popped yet with the MMA community as a whole. With the win over Petr Yan, is that truly your coming out party?
Maybe. I think that they get to choose that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can never pop, and that'd be cool with me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm popping anyways. Anybody who meets me in real life and comes and kicks it with me, we're popping anyways. So we don't need everybody to jump on the bandwagon to be popping, We get it popping around here. I have a lot of great people around me. I do a lot of cool things. I'm involved in a lot of awesome things, and whoever wants to be down will be down, and whoever's not, all love.
Absolutely. All right, Marcus, last question for me, my friend. In the perfect world, what is the outcome on July 26th when you go over to Abu Dhabi and take on Petr Yan?
In a perfect world, I go over to Abu Dhabi. I get a finish emphatically over one of the greatest fighters of all time, and I come back with 3 paychecks.
There you go. Well, hey, Marcus, man, thank you again for the time. Always an absolute pleasure and a joy talking to you, and can't wait for this upcoming fight, man. It's going to be awesome.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely. That's it for us tonight. I'm Carl Peruzza. He is the Maniac. He is Mr. Marcus McGhee. Watch him July 26th, Abu Dhabi, taking out Petr Yan. Take care, everybody.